Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome to our webinar today. My name is Arit Udo, and our webinar title today is Setting Goals for the Decade Ahead. So this is the FIP Development Goal for Advanced Practice and Specialization webinar. And today we will go through a few key pieces of information that we have around what we've been doing in at the development goal 4. I'll be your moderator. Unfortunately, the SAC who was supposed to be my co-moderator will not be in attendance, but we have our 3 speakers here and they will be speaking on very interesting topics. Next slide, please. Today's webinar is the episode 10 of the development goal. So just by way of introduction, I am one of the global leads for the FIP Goal 4. I work as a project manager at the University of Birmingham, and today I'll be moderating this session. Next slide, please, Shelley. Just by way of announcement, our webinar is being recorded live via YouTube. The recording will also be up on the screen, up on our website, and the link is provided for you there. You may ask any question using the question box provided, and you're also welcome to provide feedback about the webinar. We've provided an address where you can send an email. But we above all would like you to become a member if you haven't already registered to be a member of the FIP. We've posted the link on there for you. As we go along in the presentation, we'll provide further information about all the key digital events that we have lined up for you, and they're all very exciting. Shelley? So like I said before, our webinar today is setting goals for the decade. So just a bit of a hiccup, as we usually have some gremlins with IT. Next slide. Yeah, brilliant. Works now. So we have a series of 21 goals in the FIP development goals, and so therefore we have a series of 21 events. We started presenting these events from about March, and the key outcomes of all our 21 events is to mobilize the global pharmacy development transformation through the different goals that we've already designed and created and shared with you through our various platforms. And want to do this by engaging our profession, by engaging the members and colleagues everywhere, when we aim to provide the description, direction, and context for each specific goal. And we'll also be monitoring and evaluating through data evidence and identifying priorities across practice, across science, and across our workforce and our education. Next slide. In March, we started with equity and equality. That was goal 10. Today, we have gotten all the way down to goal 4. For August, we have FIP events for goal 4 and goal 7 planned. And right on the screen, you can see all the various events that we have planned right up to December. And our last event will be that of goal 11, which is about impacts and outcomes. There's a lot of information about this on our website. We've provided the link to the events page, which is the events.fip.org. And this gives you comprehensive information about all the various events that we'll be running all through the later part of this year. Next slide, please, Shelley. For today, our key outcomes, we will be describing our FIP development goals and explain the components of the DG4. Just to emphasize that we have 3 key elements that we are looking at: the workforce and education, the science part, and the practice part. We will be showcasing the FIP tools that we've developed so far, evidence that we've also evidence about these tools and the resources that we have created to support implementation of the DG4 goal across these three elements. We will identify priorities across practice, science, and workforce education within the goal. And we hope that we would, towards the end of the session, we will engage you in some activities around how the things we could do to support monitoring and evaluation of this goal through data evidence. And we'll give you further information as we go through the webinar itself. Next slide, please, Shelley. Today, we have three speakers. We have Kirsty Galbraith, we have Sylvain Grenier, and we have Marilyn Morris. I will speak about their biography just when they're about to come on. For now, these are just information about the key things we will be talking about. Kirsty is from Monash University. Sylvain is from the Canadian, the previous slide, Shelley. Sylvain is from the Canadian Blood Services, while Marilyn Morris has joined us from State University of New York at Buffalo. Next slide, please. So the one FIP goal is it's about the fact that we know that we can have no pharmaceutical care without the pharmaceutical workforce, and we can have no pharmaceutical care without the scientific foundation that we require for the next decade. So we have that intersection of practice, science, and workforce and education. So we're not just looking at the practice side of things. We're going to be looking at how those three key elements intersect to give us what we're talking about today. Next slide, please. So these are our key goals in the FIP development goals. We've talked about this a lot. There are 21 in numbers. Potentially, this might increase. We previously had 13 of these when it was under the professional development goals, but now we have those expanded on them, and these are now 21 goals, and these are global development goals. Today, for emphasis, it's about advanced and specialist development, which is goal 4. Next slide. So have a short video for you, and just sit back and listen to this, just give you a bit more detail. Very much, Shelley. So that was a short presentation about our 21 goals. What we ask is that you please go to our website and familiarize yourself with these goals and begin to think about how these goals apply within your practice, within your immediate constituency, and even on a national level, and how you can also join hands with us in trying to move these goals forward. For today, our emphasis is on advanced and specialist practice. And next slide, please. We will be looking at the workforce element of this goal, which it's about the education and training infrastructures in place for recognizing advancement of the pharmaceutical workforce as a basis for enhancing patient care and healthcare system deliveries. As it concerns the practice element, we are particularly focusing on sector-specific competency and development frameworks and all the various infrastructures for advanced and specialist pharmacy practice and people-centered services. Now, when it comes to the science element, we are looking at all the key things around education, training, and mentoring that we need to foster innovation and expertise in pharmaceutical sciences. And all of this is under the auspices of the Advanced and Specialist Development Goal 4. Next slide, please. Our first speaker today is Kirsty Galbraith. Kirsty Galbraith is also one of the global leads on DG4. She is Associate Professor at the University of Monash. She's the Director of the Experiential Development and Graduate Education in Pharmacy, in Faculty of Pharmacy at Monash University, and works closely with the profession to advance practice locally, nationally, and internationally. She works across the spectrum of undergraduates, intern pharmacists, and more advanced practitioners. She leads the faculty's skill coaching program and has responsibility for the student experiential placement program, the intern training program, the intern foundation program, and the Master of Clinical Pharmacy and Graduate Certificate in Clinical Pharmacy degrees at the University of Monash. Today, she will be speaking about the Global Advanced Development Framework driving the transnational advancement of the pharmacy profession. At this point, I'm going to hand it over to Kirsty. Kirsty, yes, yeah.
Thanks, Arish. Might get the first slide up, Shirley. Maybe the next slide. Okay, so I'm just looking for my slides, Shirley. It should be, maybe they're still coming. And the next one. Okay, thanks, Shirley. That's the start of my presentation. So thanks everybody for the opportunity to share the work we've done in the FIP Workforce Development Hub relating to DG4 Advanced and Specialist Development. I'm presenting today on behalf of the other leads for this DG, Arish, who you've met, and Desak, who unfortunately can't make it today, but also our close collaborators from the Hub, Ian Bates, Lena Badur, and Shirley Malianti, who have all contributed significantly to this piece of work. I'll get the next slide, please, Shirley. So the Workforce Development Hub focuses on development of tools and resources to support workforce transformation. Many years of project work and dissemination of technical reports culminated in the adoption of 13 pharmaceutical workforce development goals in Nanjing in 2016. These goals have now grown to 21 global development goals, covering not only workforce and education, but also the science and practice arms of our profession. Tools and resources are now being implemented via formal workforce transformation programs in countries such as Indonesia and Jordan. Next slide, please, Shirley. Work relating to the Global Advanced Development Framework, which we're presenting on today, really started with the 2015 Advanced Practice and Specialisation in Pharmacy Global Report, and you can see a copy of that on the left-hand side of this slide. This initial report contained data on 48 nations, describing initiatives relating to advancement and specialisation. This data has now been expanded to include 88 nations, further adding to our understanding of factors associated with successful initiatives associated with workforce advancement. Countries such as Australia and UK have established frameworks to recognise more advanced practice. Using data now on record from the 88 countries, FIP has suggested that language and common understanding are challenges that limit workforce advancement worldwide. In our report, we used a definition adapted from Australia, and that definition is: advanced practice is practice that is so significantly different from that achieved at initial registration that it warrants further professional recognition. It's important to note, however, that there is no global agreement on what the terminology advanced practice actually means. We will soon be commencing work on a global glossary in an attempt to overcome some of these problems. Versions of the diagram on the right-hand side of this slide are used commonly to explain the concepts of advancement, which relate to performance, and specialisation, which relates to focus. Graphics such as this can assist in global understanding of this terminology. So the initial report demonstrated a clear need for tools and resources to assist countries, member organisations and individuals to describe their performance and to plan their development towards more advanced practice to meet these needs. Next slide, please, Shirley. So as you've already seen, these are the 21 FIP development goals, including Development Goal 4, Advanced and Specialist Development. In Nanjing, we agreed on the initial 13 workforce development goals, including factors required for success in progressing these goals. For success in DG4, countries and territories and member organisations should have education and training infrastructures in place for the recognised advancement of the pharmaceutical workforce as a basis for enhancing patient care and health system deliverables. Further, with one more click, please. As we've already mentioned, there needs to be a common understanding of terminology and ideally a professional recognition program in place across the workforce. What has been lacking is a resource for member organisations to deliver on these imperatives, and hence we set out to develop a tool which could be used regardless of country or setting. The result is the Global Advanced Development Framework, or GADF. And on the next slide, we'll talk about how that was developed and validated. As I mentioned earlier, the FIP work in this space started in 2015. However, the basis of the work predates that, and the GADF has its origins in the Advanced to Consultant Level Framework developed by the Competency Development and Evaluation Group. The ACLF was developed using robust methodology and has similar domains and stages of development to the GADF. It has been tested, validated, and implemented globally and has continued to evolve to encompass a range of specialties and sectors. Examples of the ACLF being adopted and adapted can be seen in countries such as Australia, with the Advanced Pharmacy Practice Framework you can see here, and also the UK with their Advanced Pharmacy Framework. Using a similar, just go back one slide please, Shirley. Using a similar adopt-adapt approach, the ACLF was adapted for context, language and relevance for a generalised global workforce. Concurrently, a translation process in Indonesian was conducted together with Serial, Modified Delphi, International Reference Groups. Subsequent field testing provided further evidence of the generalisability of the framework as a mapping and development tool. Additional broad input from across FIP resulted in so-called version 0, which is the current picture you can see. And this version 0 of the GADF was released at Congress in Abu Dhabi in 2019. It was decided to release the tool for general use and feedback to further inform iterations rather than delay release for further pilot testing and feedback. A further round of engagement with members was undertaken, and with incorporation of feedback, official version 1 of the FIP Global Advanced Development Framework Handbook was released in 2020 and is the final picture on this slide. In addition to the framework itself, this handbook contains information about the development process and, most importantly, a number of case studies, exemplars for implementation and work in progress. So on the next slide, what is the Global Advanced Development Framework? It is a validated tool to support the professional development and recognition of the pharmacy workforce wherever they work. Its generic content allows all areas of practice to individualise it for broad use. It builds from other development goals, tools and resources, including the Global Competency Framework, which is targeted at foundation and early career pharmacists. The GADF seamlessly picks up from those early years and has a focus on advancement and specialisation. With this pathway, pharmacy practitioners, including educators and pharmaceutical scientists, have a development pathway for their entire career, incorporating changes in sector, career breaks, etc. One more click, please, Shirley. And you'll see that the GADF is structured as a matrix with 6 clusters of competency listed here on the slide. There are 34 individual competencies and 3 stages of advancement. Each competency has detailed descriptors at the 3 levels to enable users to clearly see developmental opportunities and areas for recognition. Next slide, please. As its name suggests, this is a global tool, generic enough to be adapted and adopted, and can be supported by the FIP Workforce Transformation Program. Nationally, the GADF can be used as a basis for professional recognition systems to signpost and mark the achievement of advanced practice through a credible, valid, and nationally consistent process of peer assessment. Formal recognition of practitioners can provide assurance to the public, embedding trust in the role of pharmacists in universal healthcare delivery. By creating a professional recognition system, countries can systematically develop robust and strategic education and training infrastructures for their practitioners, scientists, and educators. At a country level, evidence is gathering of successful initiatives to implement and recognise programs for practitioner advancement. The Handbook contains examples of systems in place from colleagues in Australia, Singapore, and the UK, as well as evolving examples from Indonesia and Jordan, as mentioned earlier. This work has happened following a lot of country-level collaboration, learning from each other about how to develop a robust national system. In these examples, national leadership has been key to success, but in the absence of a clear national approach, the GADF is designed to also be useful at the institutional or even the individual level. At the organisation or institutional level, we're gathering great exemplars of how advanced development frameworks can be used. The Handbook contains cases describing how hospital pharmacy departments use frameworks such as the GADF to underpin career development, recruitment, education and training programs, and partnerships with university providers. 2 of the cases describe how they worked together on implementation initiatives. An additional case describes how a university is implementing a portfolio linked to an advancement framework for practitioners enrolled in postgraduate studies. For individual practitioners, the GADF provides a set of developmental competencies that can be used to lead and support their own professional career learning and development. Practitioners identify areas that they may wish to develop across all the competency clusters, therefore assisting in formulating a personal development plan to advance their practice. So even in the absence of organisation or country level support, individuals can use this approach to demonstrate the impact of their practice. As the roles of pharmacists and scientists and educators become more complex, with greater responsibilities and accountabilities for pharmaceutical care, for example, recognition of practice advancement becomes a critical workforce factor. A continuously iterative, open source, advanced development framework is now available. Professional leadership bodies, including those in Jordan and Indonesia, are further developing this FIP framework with a range of initiatives via the Workforce Transformation Program, including using the GADF for national workforce mapping. Thank you again for the opportunity to share this work, and I'll now hand you back to the moderators. Thank you. Arish, I don't think anyone can hear you.
Yeah, Arit, it looks like you have poor internet connection.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Well, sorry about that. I just kept going. I didn't know about that. Well, I said, thank you, Kirsty. So our next speaker is Sylvian Grenier. Sylvian is joining us from Canada. Sylvian graduated from the University Laval in Quebec with a Bachelor of Pharmacy. He completed a Doctor of Pharmacy degree from the University of Toronto. He's currently the director of the Plasma Protein and Related Products Program at Canadian Blood Services. Prior to this, Sylvain served for 28 years in the Canadian Armed Forces, holding various roles and positions as a military pharmacist and retiring as a national practice leader for pharmacy responsible for the management of the Canadian Armed Forces drug program. In addition to working in different military locations and positions in Canada, Sylvian deployed in Bosnia in 1999 to 2000 and in Afghanistan in 2010. After retiring from full-time active duty, he transferred in the reserves where he still serves as a CAV. He still serves with the CAV on past-time basis. Dr. Grenier is an adjunct professor with the Faculty of Medicine of the Ontario University, where he teaches clinical pharmacology for the Ontario Primary Care Nurse Practitioner Program. He still practices on a part-time basis in community pharmacy in Canada. Today, Sylvian will be talking to us about a competency framework for pharmacists working in a humanitarian arena. We'll provide an overview of this framework. Sylvian, it's all yours.
Perfect, thank you, Arit. Okay, so the portion I'll be talking about is going to be regarding the practice element. So it's sector-specific competency and development frameworks and infrastructure for advanced and or specialized pharmacy practice and people-centered services. Okay, so that part. So the mechanism, we're going to be looking at developing practice infrastructure to support advanced practice and specialization, such as board certification, residency training, continuing professional development, proof of attainment of the competencies. Establish regulatory requirements for advanced practitioners and specialists in the appropriate setting to ensure an adequate response to patient needs and optimal integrated care. Establish pathways and plans for development and delivery of advanced services. Ensure mechanisms are in place that pharmacists and pharmacy support workers were able to practice at the top of their license. Ensure appropriate recognition of advanced competence and specialization in alignment with formal career progression systems and adequate incentives. And finally, increase capacity for specialized training and or certification programs. So today I'll be talking to you about the development of the competency framework for pharmacists working in a humanitarian arena or a humanitarian environment. Next slide, please. In terms of disclosure and conflict of interest, I don't have any conflict of interest. The only thing I wanted to bring your attention to is I will be using logos and referring to various organizations in this presentation. I do not endorse or advertise for those organizations. They are just representative of the various members of the working group who have worked in a competency framework. Next slide, please. So why is that relevant at this time to develop competency frameworks for pharmacists working in a humanitarian environment? And humanitarian environment is broad. It's not just disaster. It also talks about the development of certain pharmacy services in various countries. But if we look at this map, which was downloaded last week, it does represent the currently active disasters in the world. So it's not something that is happening only seldom. Next slide, please. Many of you will have known that, will have been exposed to this, and hopefully everyone is okay now. But we can see from those headlines, again, taken just like for over the last 2 weeks, that there are major disasters happening every single day, everywhere in the world. So those ones were mainly in Europe. And if we advance to the next click there, you'll see as well the ones for China. So it is very easy to see all the various disasters happening, and then the need to support the population there. And that need, of course, is a need that pharmacists can also fill on the expertise in the area of practice that we have. Next slide, please. So what does it look like to be a pharmacist working in a disaster environment or humanitarian environment? These are a few snapshots that were taken when our disaster assistance response team from the Canadian Armed Forces deployed to the Philippines in 2013. We can see there we were on the football field. This is where the team was deployed. You can see the various tents where we have the groups that can go. Next slide, next click, please. This was where the pharmacy was. So as you can imagine and you can see, the environment is quite different, and the practice, of course, is there's no air conditioning in this condition. Security is very limited, and we're working out of boxes, which we call panniers, with very limited access to a lot of tools that we would be using in a regular pharmacy. Next click, please. And this here just represents the two fellows in the middle are the two pharmacists. The one that is currently signing is the one that was physically in the Philippines. The one on the left-hand side was the one that was responsible to hold our equipment and all the medicines before the deployment. And you can see in the box, those are all the controlled substances. What's interesting in this picture is the handover, the controlled substances was happening at the moment that the pharmacist was actually leaving. This was done at the airport. So to be a pharmacist working in that type of environment, the main thing is to be able to be adaptable of the situation that may be happening. Next slide, please. The picture, the experience I'm going to be talking about is mainly the military one because this is my background, but I don't want to overshadow what's really happening there. There are multiple organizations involved. In our working group, we have multiple organizations represented as well. And this environment is not unique to the military. It is shared in various situations. We can see in refugee camps, we can see in terms of disasters where there is conflict, and sometimes just into situation where we are developing some basic pharmaceutical care in certain countries. Next slide, please. So where then does the need come from? I've been president of the Military and Emergency Pharmacy section of the FIP for the last 5 years. Prior to this, I was part of the EXCO for several years, and I've been involved with the FIP and MEPS since 2002. So I've been often asked by mainly pharmacists, young pharmacists often coming in, about what type of experience training is required to be a pharmacist working in a humanitarian environment. And the challenge is that there are many programs available. Some of them do have very good quality. Some of them are very short program, but there's no consistency on how the programs exist. On the other hand, there are organizations that do hire pharmacists for humanitarian environment who are also seeking those pharmacists with those experience and knowledge, and they're looking for people that would have those competencies that would be recognized. So there's a gap right now because those competencies don't exist in an international level where pharmacists can be trained to meet those specific needs. Next slide, please. So what we've done, we started that, the work group started in 2017, so a few years ago now, almost 5 years now, 4 years now. And before that, there was quite a bit of work where we contacted these organizations that you see on the screen to be able to access pharmacists that do have worked with them so they could bring their expertise with us. So you can see in there, there's quite a bit of wide representation of where pharmacists can be working. And also part of our working group, we have a few individuals that do work in universities and have an academic background in terms either of disaster management or refugee camps or other humanitarian environment. Next slide, please. So what we've done is initially we did a literature search, then we complemented that what we found in the literature with the various experience that we had amongst the member of the working group. What we were able to extract was about 593 activities. About 350 of them were more on the clinical practice side of things, and about 250 of them were related to pharmacologistics, so maintaining the cold chain and the various logistics regarding to the medication. And then they were further down grouped into activity areas and then core capabilities. Next slide, please. After taking all those activities, which were a mix of behaviors, some of them were competencies, many of them were tasks, we approached FIPED, and FIPED provided us with expertise to be able to switch or convert and translate those activities into competencies. So we landed on 4 different clusters. We have pharmaceutical practice health, pharmaceutical public health, pharmaceutical care, organization and management, and professional and personal. Out of those, we have a total of 22 competencies, 85 behaviors, and 229 indicators. So as you can see, it is very extensive. And the route we've done it is more to try to include as much as possible in there, rather to be very, very specific, so that it would cover a wide range of possibility that we could be seeing. And the next slide, please. This is just a sneak peek of what the competency framework looks like. As you can see, it is based in looking at the global competency framework. This one is a global humanitarian competency framework. And our plan is still to launch it in October. Next slide, please. Which is part of the next steps. In October, as you're probably all aware, FIP will have a series of digital events, and we will be launching officially that competency framework at that time. And once it is launched, then we will be approaching the main organizations, so MSF, Pharmacists Without Borders, the Federation of the Red Cross, and other organizations to seek their endorsement of the competency framework, and then in the future advertise more for the uptake of that competency framework. And now that brings it with the acknowledgement with the working group members that are listed there, the key individuals, and I'm sure that there were more people, but the key individual from FIPED that contributed to the competency framework, and also the extremely good support that we received from the FIP office as well. And this concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sylvian. That was a brilliant use of visuals for us to kind of begin to conceptualize what pharmacists actually do in disaster zones and conflict zones. Thank you for that. So our next speaker is Professor Marilyn Morris. Professor Marilyn Morris joins us from the State University of New York at Buffalo. She is a distinguished professor and chair in the Department of Pharmaceutical Sciences. Her research focuses on the influence of drug transporters on drug pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics, and the identifications of transporters as therapeutic targets. She is a fellow of the American Association of Pharmaceutical Sciences, also a fellow of the American Association for the Advancement of Science, and a fellow of the International Pharmaceutical Federation. She's also a past AAPS president. Professor, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Erin. So I am going to focus today on the science element. So education, training, and mentoring to foster innovation and expertise in the pharmaceutical sciences. So the specific mechanisms that I'll be looking at today are, first of all, develop guidance on how specialized pharmaceutical science expertise is acquired in different settings. Secondly, establish mechanisms to recognize expertise in pharmaceutical sciences, such as with patents, fellowship status, grants received, and promotions. And then collaborate with industry and academia to define programs that offer additional mentoring, networking, international exposure, and leadership development for scientists really at all levels. Next slide, please. So this just again goes through the mechanisms and the development goal that really emphasizes the science element, which is expert development pathways. We can go to the next slide. So the initiatives and projects in order to address these mechanisms are really outlined in this slide. Through the Board of Pharmaceutical Sciences, we have established special interest groups that address scientific and professional programming to really assist experts in developing experts in the field. There are 6 different special interest groups. These include new medicines, pharmacy practice research, which is very active, regulatory sciences and quality, personalized and precision medicine, drug delivery and manufacturing. Again, different areas, different disciplines in the pharmaceutical sciences. As well, we have a new generation of pharmaceutical scientists made up really of graduate students in the pharmaceutical sciences and in pharmacy. We have recently established a BPS steering committee, and this committee really focuses on communication as well as scientific and professional programming to address this developmental goal. 2 other initiatives include our Global Graduate Education Survey, which has been implemented in July, and the Waiver Educational Outreach and Expert Development Program. And I'll talk more about these 2 latter initiatives. Next slide, please. So the Global Graduate Education Survey. The objective of this survey is to obtain a greater understanding of global graduate education in the pharmaceutical sciences, an area where we have very little information. And this survey will identify strengths, needs, and challenges, and the role of FIP in supporting students and scientists in the pharmaceutical sciences. The survey content, the information we will obtain from this survey, includes programs, description, competencies, and requirements, faculty and student composition, numbers, gender, part or full-time, research that's involved in different programs, graduate teaching courses that are being offered in programs, the interdisciplinary nature of research and programs, graduate student placement, career opportunities for our graduate students, and achievements and challenges of these programs. Next slide, please. So, knowledge of graduate education programs, of the faculty, students, the scientific and professional content of these programs will really provide FIP and the Board of Pharmaceutical Sciences with guidance to support members through scientific and professional programs to develop the expertise needed and to become experts in the field of science. It'll also allow developing guidance on how specialists in the pharmaceutical sciences and including industry can be developed and recognized. It will develop mechanisms of recognition. What should be recognized? How can we do this? And develop training programs that provide additional mentoring, networking, international exposure, and leadership development for scientists at all levels. Through this graduate survey, we'll be able to obtain the knowledge really to support the developmental goal 4, as well as other developmental goals. Next slide. So besides development goal 4, which is advanced and specialist development, this survey will support other goals: academic capacity, pharmaceutical sciences early career training, competency-based education and training, leadership development, multidisciplinary teams, and equity and equality in the pharmaceutical sciences. Through the survey, we'll obtain information on really the current state of graduate education and where we need to go to support graduate education in the pharmaceutical sciences. Next slide. I just want to recognize the committee membership that has been involved in this survey, which is really a lot of work based on on what was put together and then disseminated to all graduate programs. The committee membership is diverse, both internationally and in the disciplines represented in the pharmaceutical sciences. Justin Gatwood from the US, who's involved with the AACP Graduate Education Committee, Joseph Nicolazzo from Australia, Aaron Bilinsoy from Turkey, Joan Zhu from Hong Kong, Samuel Azar Nikansa from Ghana, Virginia Giolotti is our graduate student who is in France, but from South America. And Giovanni Paletti is our ex officio member from FIP, the BPS Scientific Secretary. And again, FIP assistance was crucial for this and continues to be supporting this initiative. And Susanna, Neilhan, and Christopher, again, a great resource for this survey. Next slide. Lastly, I want to talk about a third initiative, which is the BioWaiver Educational Outreach and Expert Development. This is FIP Latin America BioWaiver project, so focusing on Latin America. This project advocates for broader implementation of the biopharmaceutics classification system, or BCS-based biowaivers in the region by facilitating educational outreach and workforce development activities. And we're focusing, first of all, with FIP and with the World Health Organization in Latin America. Latin America, about 50% of countries lack defined bioequivalent standards, and even more lack acceptance of the BCS-based BioWaiver requirements. And this is the focus of this educational outreach and expert development. Next slide, please. The strategy involves engaging with regional health authorities to facilitate discussions on BioWaiver approvals, to raise awareness among pharmaceutical companies regarding BCS concepts relevant for BioWaiver approvals, and lastly, to promote collaborations between Latin American universities to generate the scientific evidence that's needed to support BioWaiver approval processes and increase workforce capacity in the region. Again, I'd like to really recognize the consortium leadership team, which consists of individuals from Latin America, and again is headed by FIP with support of WHO. And so with that, I'd like to thank the committee for extending this invitation to talk and share the work that's being done, emphasizing the scientific emphasis of the DG4. And again, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Marilyn. Thank you so much. So now we will go through to a panel discussion. Shelley, next slide. If you have any questions for us, I've checked our question and answer section. I don't think we have any, I haven't seen any question. If you have any question for us, this will be the time to let us know and we can try and answer those before. Any questions? Okay, well, that's brilliant. It means our speakers really did a very good job and you don't have any questions. All right, so Shelley, our next slide, I think we'll be talking about the Global Pharmacy Observatory.
There is a slide, there is a question in the Q&A just now, Arish.
Okay, let me see.
Which I think might be for Marilyn.
Yes, the question regards.
Go on, Marilyn.
All right. The question regards the BioWaiver project and why Latin America and Cuba, but not Anglophone Caribbean. This is just the beginning of this project. This is the sort of the initial area where we're focusing on, but this will definitely be extended to other areas in order to address bio-waiver approvals using the biopharmaceutics classification system and education in this areas. Excellent question.
Okay, brilliant. So there is another question from Irina. Okay, before we take Irina's question, there's a question from Mohammed. I'd like to ask if FIP had considered advocating for pharmacist role in NGOs outside the education framework. That would probably be you, Sylvain.
Yeah, it would be to me. To be honest, I don't know. It would be more a question to ask FIP office per se. My involvement was more to work on that competency there, so not on the advocacy side necessarily, but to provide the tool and the competency framework available for those NGOs to be able to use it.
Okay. All right, that's fine. So so when you look at the beginning of our presentation, we did send the link where you could give us feedback. So perhaps maybe add that question in there, and we can probably cascade it down to the relevant people that could provide an answer for you. Yeah, I hope you heard me, Mohammed. All right, so there's a question here from Irina. So the question is about, so she's from Armenia. And she's talking about that there is a law under revision by the Ministry of Health for pharmacists, and which means the students with bachelor degrees can study for a few months or even 1 year and become clinical pharmacists or professionals in pharmaceutical management. But she's of the opinion that the bachelors here do. Sorry?
Do you want me to have a go at that one, Arash?
You want to have a go?
Yeah, okay. I was just going to say it's really, really interesting information, Irina, and I would love it if you would submit a case study that we could use about your development pathways. That doesn't really answer your question about whether FIP can assist, and I'm not the right person to answer that question. But if you contacted one of us, we could send you a template. We'd be really interested to have your case study to add to our repository of case studies about what's happening around the world. So I talked about the global report that we did, and I don't think we've got any information from Armenia. So it would be really interesting to have that information available to us. Someone on the call from FIP might be able to advise about whether FIP can assist with your question.
Yeah, so I think, Irina, that would be a good thing to do. So if you use the email we sent at the beginning of the presentation, just drop us all of these key bits that you've provided here in our Q&A, and we will take it up and provide you a comprehensive answer. But beyond that, it will also give us the opportunity to showcase what's actually happening in Armenia, and also, get feedback from every other person and see what they are doing and how that matches, and potentially, how this fits into the international space. Yeah. Now we have a question here from Donacha. It says, how do we design and formalize pharmacy practice specializations in a robust and consistent tracks? Into robust and consistent tracks, like in other healthcare professions, like cardiologists, orthodontists, and all of that. Does anybody want to have a go?
I can have a go at that too, Arash, if you want. It's a great question.
Yeah.
Donacha, I don't know if you're still in the Q&A, but it'd be helpful to know whereabouts you are, what region you're in. And what we know about the specialisation tracks from the data we've gathered is it's totally different depending on where you live, depending on whether it's regulated, depending on whether it's a profession-driven initiative, So there really isn't an easy answer. Where I live in Australia, we're not allowed to call ourselves specialists. Specialisation is a term that's protected for just a couple of professions, not including pharmacists, but it's in the general terminology that I specialise in cardiology, etc. But there's no formal recognition of that, but the recognition comes through career development pathways and through embedding practice. So I don't really have an answer. It's a great question, but it's going to depend on what practice is like in your country. Again, if we don't have the details of your country in our case studies, we'd really love to hear from you and hear some more information. And I'd encourage you to go and have a look at the publication and have a look at some other case studies and see if there's a country there that is similar to yours, and we may be able to help connect you with people who are in a similar environment, and you might be able to reach out and find out how what was successful for them.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Ireland in Germany. Okay. I don't think we had a case in Germany. We've certainly got a case from Ireland. But yeah, if you reach out, it'd be lovely to have that documented as a case study as well. It's really interesting.
Yeah. All right. Brilliant. So I think we have a last question here from Nelson. He says, are we willing to support, to financially support pharmacists in research? Isn't that the bane across, that's not even peculiar to pharmacy alone, is it? So it's peculiar to even all the other sciences. But does anybody have any brilliant ideas about this thorny issue? So, I mean, the thing is, there are grants available. We do provide grants for young pharmacists at present, as you know, for the FIP Foundation. So maybe you could also explore those. The information about this are on our website, the FIP website. So if you go on our website, you see all the various bits that we do in supporting practitioners to undertake research. Yeah, thank you very much. So that concludes our Q&A section.
Sorry, just depending on the background of the person who asked the question, there's the pharmacy practice research group within FIP. Again, Shirley or Marwan might have the details that they could post, and maybe that's a group that you could tap into as well. If you're a pharmacist, I'm less sure about what's available through the science stream. Marilyn might know if there's funding pathways available.
Yes, we have a very active pharmacy practice research group, very active with regards to scientific and professional programs and webinars, etc. And also really very active with regards to collaborations among members of the groups. And so this would be a good place to start, I think, in order to identify collaborations and potential funding mechanisms as well to support research. And I really encourage you to join this group and contribute to the research and the programming that's going on.
Right. Thank you, Marilyn. So I did mention that we're going to be involved in an activity. We're engaging you in an activity. And Shirley, are you going to talk to us about that?
Yes, Arit, let me just share my screen. Thank you. Can you all see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Arit. So good day, everyone. It has been a very fruitful discussion today. So we basically have discussed the goals and mechanism of FIP DG for today. And one of the key points is also about indicators on how to monitor and track progress, which is something that we as pharmacists actually like. So today, on behalf of the FIP Global Pharmaceutical Observatory, or GPO, I would like to provide a brief outline on our mission and our current projects. So I'm currently working as I should introduce myself. I think so. My name is Shirley Melianti, and I'm currently working as the FIP Data and Intelligence Specialist, and I'm also a part of the FIP GPO operational personnel. So as you can see in the slide today, basically the FIP GPO mission center around data, intelligence, advocacy, and reporting. We know the importance of data and the data to provide us with evidence, and for the evidence to provide us with intelligence. So our first task is basically to collect valid global data on workforce education, practice, and pharmaceutical science. We must undertake also, as you can see in the second point here, we must also undertake comprehensive analysis to provide accessible, high quality intelligence, and all of this also must be communicated innovatively to promote our members' organizations' impact on health. This communication will often be via our FIP Atlas, which is basically our visualization platform for displaying our intelligence across the globe. And finally, here, which is we will provide evidence-based strategic information, reports, and guidance on the application of pharmaceutical science, policies, practice, and services. So in this slide, you will see basically a list of FIP GPO's outputs and influences. And the reason why we are here today is because one of the main output is basically here, the last point, which is health system strengthening. We conducted this by tracking progress against development goals. And particularly today, we would like to see how we can track progress against development goal number 4, which is advanced and specialist development. So I just want to provide you a brief information about our current project. And one of them is basically multinational education and training needs assessment. This is basically the first global pilot of mapping education and workforce needs assessment using the FIP development goals as a framing device. We are aiming to conduct a data retrieval in partnership with our member organizations, and we are hoping to develop a comparative assessment in terms of the priorities related to the FIP development goals and also to identify regional commonalities. As previously mentioned, the second point, which is the Atlas, this is basically our online visualization platform to display any important intelligence. Linked to this, basically, the third point here, which is we are currently also in the development of a dedicated GPO website and database, which will serve as a repository for all of the data that we will collect. And the fourth point here, basically, we are advised on the strategic direction of our work by the FIP Data and Intelligence Commission, which meets regularly. They discuss big ticket items that provide assurance and guidance on achieving the GPO vision and mission. And finally, again, this is actually one of the big projects that we are currently doing. And the reason why we are here today, because we have this important project which aim to produce indicators that will measure and monitor progress towards the development goals. And I will go to the next slide, which is the short engagement activity. So we always believe that your view and opinions are very important. And we are now seeking your support for these global indicators and metrics project. We are aiming to develop indicators and country level metrics to measure and monitor progress of the performance of the implementation of development goal number 4, which is today. And we would like to invite you to participate in this short activity. As you can see here, you can visit this link, and I think my colleagues will also post the link into the chat box, or you can also scan this barcode and share your opinion. What do you think about what kinds of indicators for monitoring the progress of the implementation of DG4, which is Advanced and Specialist Development? What is your opinion on how the Goal 4, Advanced and Specialist Development, can be monitored and measured? I think our panelists today have clearly mentioned as well some of the example. For example, having a framework or other examples about what the indicators could be. So we would like to invite you to participate and share your opinion in this activity. And we will also send you an email after this event. So if, for example, you haven't had a chance to do it during this event, you will also receive an email, and you can participate as well by filling out the activity in the email that we will send to you after this event. Thank you very much, and yeah, let's transform our profession together. I will hand over back to you, Arit, now. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. Can everybody hear me now? All right. So, Shelley, do you want us to share the link now, or do you want to get the answers now, or we can let them go back and send it to us? Is that what you're asking, Shirley?
Yes, thank you, Arit. So my colleagues will share the link in the event. Let me double check if someone already shared it. If not, I will share it in the chat box. But I think if the audience can complete it now, it's fine. If not, there will be an email coming as well after this event. So yeah, we can close basically the session, Arit. Or see if there is still any other questions. I can see that there is no questions actually in Q&A.
Okay. Well, so this brings us to the end of the presentation. We're going to have the link to the activity we've talked about. It will be shared here in the Q&A. It will also be shared on our website, even for this webinar. We will share it also in the comment section. So please just click on the link and provide answers as you see fit. Now, we have our next event will be DG7, Advancing Integrated Services. This will hold on 18th of August. And please register for that event. It's going to be a very interesting one as well. So thank you so much from wherever you may have joined us from. I know there are a lot of people who joined us at 4 a.m. where they are. So it's always brilliant to have everyone on the webinar. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, everyone.